Hey, what's up everybody? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to do a viewer comment video. So GigJockey was asking about a like button video that I did. Could you do something where you're not only using the current user, but you want to be able to add who liked the track with dates and who followed it, and then so you can display all that stuff in charts. So let's get into that. So if you didn't see that other video, I'll put it up here. But basically there's a simple toggleable, if that's a word, like button, and it just allows the user to like and unlike things. So the way that I've done this for this simple like functionality is on my tracks field. I simply have a liked by, which is a list of users, and it will add or remove a user from that. And then the workflow simply will remove the current user if they are already in that list, and then it will add them if they're not in that list. Now, in order to capture the dates, there's a couple of things that we would have to do. So I'm going to have to modify the, let's name this to what I've actually named the things in my database. I've got a track table, and right now I have this liked by user. What I want to do is to create a new thing. I want to call it track likes. I want to store who it was liked by. And I always add a user field here because you could use the created by field to grab the user, because it's always going to stamp that with the user that created it. But if you ever need to recreate any data or do anything else, it's handy to have a user thing on that table as well, because you can't modify the created by. And I am going to use the created date, and I'm also going to have to store the track, which is the track. So I'm going to have, here's the user, here's the date, and this is the track that they liked. And then on my existing track table, I'm just going to have to update it. So I'm showing a list of all the times it's been liked. So let's get in there and build this thing. So first of all, I'm going to have to create a new type, and I'm going to call this track likes. And I want liked by. I always put the name of the thing in brackets as well, just because it's easier, especially once your app gets big. This just tells me that I'm referencing the user table, essentially. This is only going to be one thing. It's not going to be a list. And I need to also store the track, which is a reference to track. And that's not going to be a list either. It's just going to be one thing. Now, one cool thing that you can do, suppose you wanted to add something where they could be prompted to say, well, what do you like about whatever thing it is you're liking? So I do this on my business site. I have this concept called the backpack, and users can basically clip anything throughout the site and they can add it to their backpack. So it's like a bookmarking tool, basically. But when they click the bookmark or the backpack thing, it pops up a little text box and it says, tell me what you think about this thing. And then this goes all that stuff gets fed into my community site so people can see what people are liking, what their comments are, and then I can use AI to look at patterns and stuff like that. If you want to see a video on how that works, drop a comment below and I'd be happy to do one. So now let's update the tracks thing, and I need to add the track likes to this. I'm going to use the track likes data type, and I want to make sure that's a list. I'm going to keep the liked by in there for now, because if, for example, you were using the example from my previous video where you're just adding and removing people, you might want to migrate the data to this new scheme. So that's why I'm going to keep it for now. Okay, so here's the tricky part about the workflow. I'm just adding and removing users from one field, but if I wanted to use the same like button, I'm going to have to change this actually quite a bit. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this. Basically, I'm going to have to reverse the order. So the workflow that I used in the previous example was remove them if they're there, terminate the workflow, and then add them after the fact. But I can't use that same logic because it's going to delete the record, and then that terminate workflow step is automatically going to go to the next one because I've deleted the record. And there's no way that I can get around that, because in the previous example, if I show you here, the terminate workflow is only when, if I go back, this is what makes it possible to do this with one button. So if the result of step one is not empty, then terminate the workflow. But that doesn't exist if I'm just using a delete record option. So I'm going to get rid of this, And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new thing. I'm going to create a track likes, and liked by user is going to be current user. Let's get rid of the reason. And that is going to be there. And it's only going to be when do search for track likes, liked by user equals current user, and track equals parent group's track count is 0. So basically, if it's not found, then go ahead and create that record. And then the next thing I need to do is I need to make changes to the track record, the parent group's track, and I need to add that result there. So that's going to allow me to capture it. So if I go back here, refresh the page. So if I check the database, the track likes has added the record to it. So now I need to go ahead and terminate the workflow only when the result of step 1 is not empty. So now when I come back to this, when I click this again to toggle it, what's going to happen is it's going to run this workflow step. It's going to say search for it. This will fail because the count is now going to be 1 because the record exists. And Bubble is actually smart enough to not add these things over and over again, but just to be safe, I'm going to say when this is not empty, because that's always a good habit to get into, especially once your app gets big. And then terminate when the result is not empty. So now I can delete the thing. So this essentially is what is going to remove it. So I want to remove the track like, where the user equals current user, and the track equals parent group track. And because I'm using the single delete option, I want to make sure I use the first item operator. So it's going to only delete the first thing that I've done. And like I mentioned, if you want to just make sure you don't have any dirty data in there, you could just use the delete list of things, and then that would be fine. Now, another thing you can do, which if you're ever in the habit of deleting stuff, I could have added a is deleted flag to the track likes table, but this doesn't need to be that complicated for a simple liking system. So now if I go back here and I go ahead and refresh this page, so this says I like this, I click it again, and now it's gone. So if I go back into the database, that track thing is gone, and I can go ahead here and I can click on it and I can add it again, and there it's back again. Okay, for the second part of it, showing the people who liked it and the charts, you could also do that in the old system as well, because I did have a list of users in the liked by field, so it would just be simply exposing that list in the UI and then showing the names. The only thing you wouldn't be able to do with the charts is if you wanted to track or show a chart of likes over time, because the only thing that was really missing was the date. So if I go here and just add a text field, and I want to show the track likes, I want to show each item liked by user, and I want to show each item's first name, and I want to format this as this text with a comma. So if I go back and reload the page, it's going to show me just that because that's the only person who's liked it so far. So now if I go ahead and like it as the other user, now you're going to see that both are in here. So if I went ahead and just liked a couple of more things, I can now go back in and I can add a chart element. And the built-in chart elements with Bubble are pretty simple to use. I want to use a pie chart, and I want the data to be tracks, and I want the data source to be all of my tracks. Now the value expression, so this is the value that's going to be displayed in the chart, and the value I want to use is the count of the track likes. So I'm going to select current point track likes count, and the label I want to show is the current point but the track name. So this is going to show me a pie chart of all the track names and how many likes each one of those has. So if I go back to the tab here and reload this, you can see that I've got The Last Time has been liked once, and Bright Eyes has been liked twice, and Good Old Jesus in the Wind has been liked once. So that's how you can enhance your like button, and drop a comment again if you want to see the video of how I do that backpack functionality where you can get some cool things and you can build some more community elements around how people like and comment on stuff. Thanks for checking it out. Remember to hit like and subscribe. I think I said that already, but you can never say that too much. See you next time.